Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, good friend John Petrolino. He writes for AmmoLand.com. I believe he started writing for BearingArms.com. He's an author of a book. He's everywhere, man. John, thanks for joining, man.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Paul, as always, and thank you for inviting me to be on the show.
So let's get started. A couple topics today. First one I want to talk about is, and this will be released as a article tomorrow on the Gun Mag, but I did an interview with Rachel Malone of GOA Texas today. And for all of you who have been commenting and emailing and opining about constitutional carry in Texas, it's very much still alive. I had an extended interview with her today over the phone, but I want to let everybody know constitutional carry is still alive. It is going to move forward through the House, and there is enough time in the Texas legislature that I think not only constitutional carry, but also a Second Amendment sanctuary state bill may make it through in this session yet. Personal commentary from me, Texas, man, all Rachel is doing is asking you to boldly go where 20 states have gone before. So, yeah, good on you, Texas, if you can get it done. I honestly believe after the interview today that I think they will. John, Texas is known for gun rights, but I think that's a misnomer. I don't think they should be known for gun rights, because up until now they've been middle of the road.
And not only that, I mean, Texas is a great state. Yes, they're freedom-oriented, but you could see them turning more and more purple as time goes on. Don't forget, you have a lot of the same problems in Texas that you might have in say, New York, where the larger cities, so you have cities like Austin and San Antonio and whatnot that start driving the bus in the state. And that's just like New York with New York City and a couple of the other smaller cities in New York as well. And Texas, that's a possibility that they could really go further left to center. And don't forget, a lot of people are fleeing states like California. And where are they going? They're going to places like Texas and Arizona. And if these, people that are coming in, as I'll call them, refugees, for lack of a better term, are trying to find a better place to live, with them's going to come some of their bad policy. Even if these are people that are freedom-oriented or thinking in the back of their mind, that doesn't change that some of the bad policy that, is in California won't follow them, because it will. And then you also have people that just they can't afford to live in California anymore, and they straight up will take their bad policy with them. And this isn't a freedom-related thing, it's a financial thing. And then let's go and ruin another good state, because California, I mean, if you look at it, it's not a bad state, it's not a bad place. They've got a lot going for them, but politically speaking, they're an awful nightmare.
You could say the same thing for New York. New York is a beautiful state. Upstate New York, the Finger Lakes region, I absolutely used to love traveling through there, with the exception of the New York City-centered politics. I want to get to a couple of comments from social media. And where am I at? Bring this up. There we go. Oop, there we go. Anthony Calandro says, Commie Jersey in the house. Anthony, when we were pre-show, man, your ears must have been ringing. We were talking about you a bit. Let's see here. Clover Tack says, Texas has been playing a slow ground game to get those rights restored. They have. And one disadvantage Texas has is, and it's an advantage for everything else, but their legislature only meets every other year. And then it only meets for about 4 months. They've got from February until May to get from the beginning of February to the end of May to get everything they're going to get done for 2 years done, because they don't meet in even numbered years. They only meet in odd numbered years. Clovertack wants to know, get this up again. Is John from Texas? John, you're a New Jersey boy, born and bred, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Jersey, behind enemy lines, and just like Anthony Calandra, we're out here fighting desperately to hold the line. So yeah, dirty Jersey in the house, I guess. Which, to your point about New York, New Jersey is a nice state.
It is.
It's just that we have the reputation of always looking like the intro scene to the Sopranos television show, and the billowing smoke, and all of the garbage from New York getting dumped here. It's not the case. We still are very much so the Garden State. We just happen to have some industry, and we happen to have some bad politics.
Okay. Let's see here. Charlie Chambers wants to know which turnpike exit number.
Well, off of the Parkway, I'd be like exit 98. And off the turnpike, depending on which way I'm coming, probably, I think, 11.
All right. Couple from Clovertack. He says migration to Texas from other states has actually been on the decline for the last several years. That may be true, Clovertack, but I know exodus from the anti-right states, such as California, New York, has been on the increase. And where we go. And he also says, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think New Jersey was the number one state most fled a couple of years in a row, and then now surpassed by New York. And I think it's like maybe the people from New York are coming to New Jersey thinking Jersey's better than New York. I mean, it's maybe a stepping stone on the way to destroy Pennsylvania, I guess. That's...
All right. One way I ask because it bugs me how people talk about Texas that are not from Texas. As a Texan, I have a lot of beef of some of the things John said. We don't have call-in ability, or I'd let you on the show and we could talk about it. But I just got to say, some comments have come in after that being Texas and having a lot of beef, that just kind of goes together. Anyway,
you can hit me up. We're connected. Just send me a DM and I'll educate me for sure.
All right, let's talk about the and I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce this one. You sent me an article about the defunding of police and cities that have done that. Because you wrote it, I'm going to let you tee it up, bud.
Sure. So I did this piece. It's I put it out with Bearing Arms. And it was revolving around these statistics that Fox News uncovered. So I looked at the statistics and some of the numbers here. And the 5 cities that are mentioned are Los Angeles, Minneapolis, New York City, Portland, Oregon, and Austin, Texas. And these 5 cities have been targeted as ones that have so-called defunded the police. And people that are left to center usually get a little upset. Well, we're not defunding the police, and that's not what this is about. Well, in essence, they are. If they're even reallocating the funds to other social programs, and it's not going directly to police efforts, you kind of are defunding the police. So to try to tap dance around that, I think, is silly. What they found in the numbers, and it's staggering. So Minneapolis murders rose 46% in Minneapolis in the last year. In Portland, in Oregon, they had 17 recorded murders from July of 2019 to February of 2020. Well, that same time period from 2020 to present, 63 homicides. So they went from 17 to 63 homicides in Portland, Oregon. New York City, murders are up 11.8%, and Los Angeles, murders are up 28.3%. And let me see here. There's 11 murders, they're saying, in Austin compared to the 10 from the previous year. So they're up a little bit. What is interesting about their numbers is also aggravated assaults in Austin, Texas, are up 26% from last year. So overall in these cities, violent crime, we're not even just talking about property crimes. I didn't even look at the property crime numbers because to me, that wasn't the intent of me looking at the data. All this shows is that our personal responsibility to protect ourselves really does fall on our shoulders. And it's ironic that some of these cities are the ones that are defunding the police. They're the ones that actively put into force these programs where they reallocated funds and said we need to have a more kumbaya approach to this. Well, conventional police work is no longer able to be done. Some people say that maybe this defund the police movement from some of these cities is kind of a ruse, and they're riding on the coattails of the social movement, and really they just have ginormous budget shortfalls, and they're using this as an opportunity to say, yes, we're doing our part by defunding the police. Meanwhile, they may not even have the money. Regardless, I think the key takeaway here is it doesn't seem to be working. And as we know, this is a difficult thing to try to quantify because crime is up all over the country, that across the board. But those are some really alarming numbers.
Yeah. Well, look, I want one thing I want to jump in on with you on this.
Yeah, sure.
Is, the cities you've listed, one thing I noted is the one exception where murders didn't jump up was Texas.
Right. Exactly.
And that was Austin,
yes.
Texas. And Texas shall issue concealed carry soon, hopefully, to be constitutional, or permitless carry, which I prefer. Because let's face it, constitutional carry means you could carry in a post office and you could have a Glock 18, the full auto version. But at any rate, that Texas is flirting with permitless carry. I think they'll get it. And in Austin, I think overarching is that people can concealed carry. The rest of them are the blue or at least purple states where you probably can't get a concealed carry permit, and now we're defunding the police, and that takes all of the levels of security away.
What I was shocked about is that Chicago wasn't on this list, to be honest
right?
with you. That's just, my opinion there.
Okay. A couple of social media. We've got two people that are paying very close attention to the video. I want to, Christopher over on Facebook says, nice pencil sharpener. And I got to bring up your video so they can see. That's just off to your side there. Yep.
I asked you if there was anything weird in my background, Paul, and we have it. It's the pencil sharpener from the 70s.
All right. And
thank you, Chris.
Kevin says, nice hat rack, Paul. That's not even all of them. That's, if I were to give you, let me give you a shot of just me. That gives you a few more of them in there, but there's also a rack above that extends all the way across the window. Just the camera I have, you can't see that. And even if I had all the ability to show that, I've still got more hats. Every once in a while, you'll see a hat change up there. Because I've got more hats than I have space on the wall behind me. Let's get to some really important comments here. Kevin Baker over on Facebook. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do that. Says, you don't have to defund, just demoralize. Make officers understand that they will be fired and prosecuted for doing their jobs. And they'll retire and resign in volume. See Austin, Texas. It's not just Austin, man. It's New York City, Minneapolis, St. Paul have a huge problem with officer retention. You're absolutely right, Kevin. If officers aren't appreciated and they don't feel like the department has their back, they're not going to hang around. Let's see here. Clovertack says Texas having a large southern border makes a difference with crime here too. Keep that in mind. I don't doubt that in the least. I'm not from Texas. I'm from, depending on what part of the state you measure from, at least 800 miles away. But yeah, Bob says he has the same pencil sharpener on his desk. And gun websites. There's a river. Crimes can't cross rivers. Yeah, unfortunately, the border wall never got finished. Let's see here. And Clovertack replies to the you can't cross a river. Drugs and baggies can float, bro. So.
So I think the big takeaway is if this was a social experiment and just to see if it works, it's pretty much bad timing. I think it's bad timing to do that.
Oh, yeah.
In big cities that have aggravations right now due to the current state of the country. And, there's areas in the country that are flourishing and doing what they're supposed to, and there's other areas that are not. It's ironic that the places that are not doing what they should be doing are also defunding their police and having more people getting murdered.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about one more thing that you and I were both involved in. It's not directly involved with the news of the day, but you wrote about it, and I participated in it and was down there. Let's talk a little bit about the article you wrote for, and thank you for doing this, for the Florida Carry event that wrapped up, about a week and a half ago. That was an awesome event. I met you for the first time in person down there, and man, I had an absolute blast.
It was really great, Paul, and it was fabulous to get to meet you in person and so many of the other patriots that were there because we communicate with each other electronically. We do shows like this. We email. We do Facebook messages and so on and so forth. And then to be able to get there together and actually shake the hands and kiss the baby, so to say, it was really a nice thing to be able to participate in. And not only that, Kevin Sona, a massive hat tip to him for pulling this off, and then also to runaway campers because they were subject to hate mail and also hate voicemail. And I think you probably have heard the message. If you go to the article and check it out, it's on AmmoLand. It dropped, I believe, yesterday, and there's a runaway campers after action review there. Right in the middle of the article, we made sure we planted this voicemail for you, for the readers to get a glimpse of some of the hate that they received over there. And I got to hand it to the owner of Runaway Campers. He stood his ground and he says, "No, this is the stuff that we believe in, and so be it." And I believe an interview with him also dropped today on Riding Shotgun with Charlie, so you can hear from him his perspective of that. And Charlie did a great job, doing a nice after action, review of everything with multiple participants at the Florida Carry event.
I want to hand it out to Stephen Shives, the owner. What impressed me the most about him, I got to interact with him quite a bit over the weekend. I was there Friday setting up and got to interact with him, and then of course all day Saturday. And at the end of Saturday, I said, "Man, I really hope that you turn enough business to make this worth it for you." And his reply to me was, "If I don't move anything, it was still worth it for me." That is a patriot right there. I still hope he sells a crap ton of campers to people that are patriots and are in the market for campers. But to know that he didn't really, that wasn't in his mind, that even if nothing happened because of what he did financially, that it was still worth it to him. Let's see here. David Rosenthal, somebody I think you might know, said, "Hi guys, wish I was able to attend the Florida Carry. I wanted to be part of the Clown Car episode on riding shotgun with Charlie. That was fun. That was absolutely a blast.
That was a blast."
And Gun Website says, "Locked and Loaded Latinos broadcast the entire event." And they might have. I know that it's on. Go check out Locked and Loaded Latinos on YouTube, and I know that on Facebook it got put up on Polite Society Podcasts feed. Now there was signal, and so parts of it you might have only got audio. The video froze. Some vice versa. It was quite literally, the broadcast was me putting my cell phone on a tripod and hitting go. And
those videos, Paul, are inserted in the article. So
yeah,
if anybody finds the article, they can't find the rest of the footage. It's there. But to your point, a couple of the frames might be a little bit like looking at a Bigfoot photo. But with dealing with the service that we had, I think you captured everything really well. So and many thanks to you, because you not only emceed the whole thing, but ran the whole technical side to keep everything smooth. And there was a lot of really good speakers there, and I enjoyed it.
And the one I think I personally enjoyed the most was my good friend Amy Dillon when she got up to talk. She gave a very impassioned talk, especially at the end when she talked about her fiance Dave. And I just, if you got a chance, it's about an hour into the first video, at least on the Facebook version that's on Polite Society Podcast. If you have a chance, go look that up and listen to Amy. She did a phenomenal job in her talk.
Oh yeah, that was very, very good, and it hits close to home. Like her story is one worth listening to.
Absolutely. So we've covered the two topics that we wanted to cover, and we've talked about the Florida Carry event. I think we're at 23 after. So we'll start winding things down here. Not that we might not get some more comments, but I want you, if you would please, to do a little bit of plugging your book, Decoding Firearms. You were gracious enough to send Susan and I a copy we just got this week.
Oh, excellent. So it did make it to you. I'm glad. I was waiting for you to get back to me on that. So I'm glad that it made it to you safely. Did you get the limited edition sticker?
That's Susan. It's in Susan's office right now.
Susan,
she claimed
she'll
it.
have to show you. She'll have to show you.
She claimed it, so...
So it's Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on, general gun safety and use, and it's kind of a soup-to-nuts beginner's guide to get you up on your feet on everything firearms. It's 266 pages, over 115 illustrations, and I try to go through some of the beginner-level things for people that are apprehensive or just new, and definitely push training a lot through the book. So this is not like just read this and you're good to go. It's not a substitute for training, although Rob Campbell, he did say that the great thing about it is you could pick up the book, read it, and you don't need any training. I appreciate the compliment big time, but definitely as a primer to get somebody up and going, that's really why I put the book together.
Absolutely. Nothing, and I mean nothing, substitutes for in-person training. I believe that in my heart. But if you want to get a leg up on training, if you want to know what's going on before you go to training, I'm going to agree that Decoding Firearms is a great way to go. David Rosenthal just commented, CNJFO bought 100 copies of Decoding Firearms and distributed a free copy to every Coalition Life member. Great resource for young and old. And David, Rosie, I want to throw a shout out to you and CNJFO. This obviously is the Daily Bullet, but I do a show every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Time, the only time zone that matters, called the Polite Society Podcast. And CNJFO just stepped up and became a sponsor of the Polite Society Podcast. And I am eternally grateful to you folks for doing that. CNJFO, I can't say enough about what the job you guys are doing in New Jersey. John, you're connected with CNJFO, and they've even got a few lawsuits out. We on Monday, we had Teresa Heinecker on very recently, and we talked about some of those lawsuits. I think she might have even been Thursday, but you guys are making it happen in New Jersey. You're fighting a very, very blue political system by taking them to court.
And I love CNJFO. I do spend a good deal of time volunteering with them, and everybody over there is fantastic. And I haven't really, felt that kind of warmth from anywhere else in New Jersey. Just a close-knit group of people, and I think that's the way, because the way the group was organized originally was everyone gets together and does social gatherings, and when people meet and they start talking, and then there's ideas and things blossom. So the group started out eating chicken wings and having fun and growing ideas. Well, here's the group now, many years later, suing the state of New Jersey. And there's something to be said for that, for CNJFO to be lockstep with the Second Amendment Foundation, with the Firearms Policy Coalition, with ANJRPC, with NJ2AS, and now CNJFO is in there too. All 5 of these organizations are suing the state of New Jersey over firearm permitting, and this is an incredible thing. And they started changing over the years slowly, and now it's the floodgates are open, and it's not just about eating chicken wings anymore, guys. It's about getting out there and doing things. And I absolutely, I love the group, and I can't wait until we can eat chicken wings again because of the current environment here due to the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a taste of that. I hate to keep going back to it, but I do keep going back to it. We got a taste of that in Florida. Everybody being able to be together, and the networking and the camaraderie and friendship was just amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And so if those of you in freer states and that feel that their rights are a little bit more secured than, say, some of these other states, consider adopting an organization like CNJFO, because it takes money to do these things, and you want to keep it in New Jersey, stop it in New Jersey, and try to reverse it in New Jersey before it comes to you, because it's coming. There's no way, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So we need to hold on to our rights.
I'm gonna get a couple social media comments in. I thought we were gonna be early. We're not. We're gonna be late. But I want to get a couple social media comments in here. Gun websites. What does a podcast sponsor provide? And then George Geller kind of answered the question. Cash. Podcasts are not free. And the Polite Society podcast, with equipment, with distributing, with all the things that need to happen to get a quality podcast put together, it's not free. I pay a lot of money for that. Well, before November 1st, I paid a lot of money for that. The SAF covers my costs for the podcast now. What does CNJFO provide? Well, through sponsorship, they help the SAF cover my salary. And believe me, I very much appreciate having a salary. Absolutely do. So that basically CNJFO is providing some of the money to help cover the costs of hiring me and putting the show together. Butch says, any lawsuit is a good lawsuit when it comes to our rights. All the good outweighs the bad by so much. Butch, I'm going to kind of agree with you. If we lose, it's not always a good thing. There are lawsuits, and very soon I'm going to be having my boss, Alan Gottlieb, on. There are times when we file a lawsuit and we know we're going to lose in district court. The goal is to get it to the Supreme Court, and we just tell the district court in legal terms, not plain English like I'm going to say it, please just rule against us, but do it quickly so we can move on. However, in cases where we really do want the victory and it comes down as bad precedent, that can actually hurt fairly badly. And David Rosenthal says, decisions are made by people in the room. Boy, I couldn't agree with that anymore. If you want to get, you have to be involved to make things happen. And last comment, we're going to go ahead and shut it down because, as I said, we're late. Dana Lufer says, and my salary when Paul doesn't dock my pay. Dude, Dana, I'm going to double your salary. Just maybe triple, you know? Dana is my writer for the Polite Society podcast. If you're a podcast listener and you hear or watch us do the defensive gun use segment, Dana's the one that writes all that up. So, okay, I lied again. Sorry, John. I'm just keeping you here.
No, it's not a problem.
But we're getting all kinds of great comments. Charlie Chambers wants to know, what's been John's most rewarding moment so far in 2A activism?
This is kind of self-serving, actually, to be perfectly honest, and rewarding in the sense of that, maybe there's a little bit of brand recognition. I called the SAF to get a quote. I said, I want to get a quote for a story from Alan, and I called up and I said, somebody picked up the phone and I started my pitch, and they said, you don't have to go any further. Don't give me your bio. I know who you are. And I was like, well, I guess my work is being read. So the rewarding thing is maybe, you write these things, you put your work out, you do it for a lot of years, you try to get a little, brand recognition, and you hope that the stuff that you do sticks with people. And when Dave Workman answered the phone and says, I know who you are, you don't have to do a song and a dance, I was like, okay, this is perfect. Maybe the work is being looked at by some people. And to me, that's rewarding because maybe that does make a difference in the whole community, and in particular for the Second Amendment, for sure. Paul, are you muted, Paul?
I certainly was muted. Thank you. I had a cough, and I usually try to mute myself when I cough, and I just forgot to unmute. But I have a similar story to that. Mine's a few years ago, though, when I was just Polite Society podcast, and I was actually a little podcast, although I never would admit that. But I was not very big, and I went to Gun Rights Policy Conference in Chicago. And on shaking knees and with help from Frank Fiamingo, who used to be the president of the New Jersey Second Amendment Society, and Freddie Reel, who were behind me pushing me to do it, I approached Alan Gottlieb and said, this is great what you're doing here, but we need to put it online. I thought I was going to get shot down. Alan looked at me and he said, I know who you are, I know what you do, and we'd love to help you with that. And so I know exactly where you're coming from, John. When somebody you respect says, I know what you do, Oh my goodness, that's manna from heaven
It,
right
it
there.
it was, and it was just one of those things. And you put out work and you get all the negative comments, but sometimes the positive doesn't come through, and that goes back to everything we were talking about with the Second Amendment cancel culture and all the things that's been going on the last couple of weeks. And it was nice to have a positive comment, like, I know what you're up to, and I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Well, we are now 5 minutes and counting over the time that we had scheduled for. But John, I want to thank you again for joining me. And on the way out, one more time, if you would please let everybody know about your book and where they can find the stuff you're writing.
Sure. So, Decoding Firearms, you can get this on Amazon. If you don't like to buy from Amazon, some people don't. The Gun for Hire range in Woodland Park, I got the sticker up here. You can see that. If you go to Anthony Calandro's Gun for Hire website, he does have an e-commerce store where you can buy Decoding Firearms from him and go around Amazon. For my work, I do have a profile with Ammo Land and a bunch of work there, as well as a profile with Bearing Arms. So that just got formalized last week, and the article we were discussing tonight was my first article under my byline, and also johnpetrolino.com. So anybody that wants to reach out to me, you can go on johnpetrolino.com. There's a contact me section. I also have a weekly newsletter if you want to sign up for it. It's periodic. I say weekly. It's maybe not always weekly.
Sure.
And reach out to me that way. And I try to aggregate my news articles on the webpage as well.
Very cool. Well, we're going to go ahead and set this one aside there. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for commenting. You make this show absolutely easy to do when you add your comments. So for today, that's going to wrap it up. Join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time, and we'll have another Daily Bullet. Thanks for watching.